famine, locusts, and the blessing of God. Blow the trumpet in Zion. Declare a holy fast. Call a sacred assembly. Joel 2:15. In the book of Joel, chapter 2, the prophet called the people of Israel together for a nationwide fast and sacred assembly. Everybody was to show up. No excuses. In verse 17, Joel said the priests were to lead the assembly in crying out, "Spare your people, O Lord. Do not make your inheritance an object of scorn." Israel was in the throes of a terrible famine, and the neighboring nations had been heckling them about it. "Where is the great God you're always talking about?" their neighbors jeered. "If he's so great, why has he left you to starve?" The interesting thing is, God was the one who made his people an object of scorn in the first place. Over the years, they had turned away from worshiping him and had begun to worship idols instead. So, the Lord used famine and hardship to chastise them, just as a father would chastise a child whom he loves. God himself was being hard on his own people. Yet, a new thing was about to happen, Joel said in verse 23. "Be glad, O people of Zion. Rejoice in the Lord your God. He sends you abundant showers, both autumn and spring rains as before." Keep in mind, the ancient Jews lived in an agrarian society, and rain was considered a great blessing. God was saying through the prophet, "I am going to bless you once again. And the way I'm going to bless you is by sending rain and an abundance of good crops." This is something we see throughout the scriptures. When God blesses his people, the rain comes and a bountiful harvest follows. But then God went a step further in verse 25. He said, "I will repay you for the years the locusts have eaten." Now, some people in the church today will tell you that all locusts, that is, all trials and troubles that strip us of blessing and make our lives difficult, are from the devil. But in this case, God had sent the locusts. Why? Because when Israel was living in abundance, they had forgotten that everything they had was from the Lord. They had become proud, self-centered, and disobedient. So God said, "The only way you fat folks are going to turn back to me is if I take your food away. See, I am sending a swarm of locusts to devour your crops. Once your dinner plates are empty, you will remember I am your only source." And it worked. God always knows exactly what to do to get our attention. When the people cried out, "Oh God, we've learned our lesson. We want to return to you. Please send the locusts away," God responded with open arms. First, he promised to send rain. Then he promised to repay them for everything they had lost to the locusts. But there was more. God promised to bless them beyond simple restoration. They would actually experience even greater abundance than they had known before the locusts came. As verse 26 proclaimed, "You will have plenty to eat until you are full, and you will praise the name of the Lord your God who has worked wonders for you." Have you been living through a time of spiritual famine? Is it possible that God is trying to get your attention by allowing you to experience the pain and struggle of difficult circumstances? Turn your heart back to God and cry out to him. He wants to repay you for everything the locusts have eaten from you. Acknowledge him as Lord and worship him as your source. And he will not only restore you, he will bless you in greater ways than you have ever known.